4-5 feels a lot better than 1-5 going into a bye week. But Sunday's win left a lot to be desired. We discuss next. Hey, what's happening? Welcome back to The Bald Perspective. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens moved to 4-5, a far cry from a 1-5 record going into the bye week. In all honesty, many people talked about the Baltimore Ravens still being able to win the division, still being able to make the playoffs. But at 1-5, you couldn't really pinpoint anything that could be done for the Baltimore Ravens to get on track. So we take some time off and get healthy. Lamar Jackson comes back, Roquan Smith comes back, Ronnie Stanley comes back, Kyle Hamilton seems to be healthy, and a host of other guys come back to the field. And with the addition of Aloy Gilman, with the addition of Draymond Jones this past week, it seems that the Baltimore Ravens are rounding into shape. But what is that shape? What are they becoming? What are they transforming into? Sunday's game doesn't allow us to know that. It doesn't give us any more insight into who the Baltimore Ravens are and what their true potential is than the Miami win or than the Chicago Bears win. I think each week since the bye or each game since the bye week, I think we faced a little better competition. Minnesota being the best competition as it pertains to roster construction from top to bottom. And we put to bed each one of those levels of competition. I still don't think we know who the Baltimore Ravens are. Why? Well, when you look at this offense, even with Lamar Jackson being installed once again over the last two games, there still doesn't seem to be a high level of fluidity. And maybe that's just because the offensive line is flat out not good. And I don't know how many times more I can talk about this offensive line until we get to the offseason and begin to hopefully make some improvements. But nevertheless, I think that is the real hiccup. That is the real mountain to climb as it pertains to this offense becoming fluid. The Chicago Bears game, we didn't really show dominance in the run game, although we did do some nice things. In the Miami Dolphins game, we didn't like really run downhill on Miami or even, just dial it up through the air. We got some short fields, we got some turnovers that turned into points, which again is the sign of a growing and developing team. But developing into what is the real question? Are we developing into a team that can really compete for the division, which then means we become a playoff team? But do you really see a team in Baltimore right now offensively that is worthy of being into the playoffs? Because I don't. I don't really see us being able to go into a game, hostile environment, and matriculate the ball down the field. I don't see us right now being able to drive down the field with consistency. Not saying that we should drive 75 yards every time and score touchdowns, but I'm seeing too often where we're second and long, third and long. We are getting stopped at the line of scrimmage in the run game. We complete a pass for 2 yards and things of that nature. And I don't really see diversity in this offense, right? Yesterday was the first time you really saw since the bye week, Todd Monk can use some diversity and use some misdirection, put a little trickery involved in this game plan. But nevertheless, it's not with any level of consistency. I don't have a trust in this offense to be able to win a shootout if it came to shootout status. I don't really see this Baltimore Ravens offense being able to grind it out and put the game away when you're up 3 points, you got the ball, it's 4 minutes on the clock, and you're just able to run the clock out. I don't see that right now. Now, granted, this is only Lamar Jackson's second game back. And we have put up more points. But that's been in symmetry with turnovers, which can you count on turnovers to continue at the rate that we're turning the ball over? I think we have 6 turnovers since the bye week, something like that. Can we continue to count on that? We would like to, but in some aspects, the Baltimore Ravens offense has to stand independent and do its own job. Whether you got the short field and you got to go 35 yards for a touchdown, or you got the long field and you got to go 75 yards. And right now, I don't see that happening. And then you add in the Rashad Bateman injury with the high ankle sprain. What is that going to look like going into Cleveland? Now, am I afraid of Cleveland? Not really. I'm concerned about their defense and what their defense can do, but I'm not really concerned about their offense. And we'll talk defense here in a second. And so I'm just wondering, what are we becoming? You see, because as it gets colder and you got New England on the schedule later in this year, that's going to be a cold game. You have Green Bay on the schedule. That's going to be a cold game. You got Pittsburgh on the schedule twice. Both of those are outdoors. That's going to be cold games. And then you got Cincinnati twice. And over the next 2 weeks, you got the Cleveland Browns, and then you got the New York Jets. After that, your Thanksgiving, and now you're into December. And this run game really has to begin to round into form, because the pass game is not as fluid when it's cold. The ball's harder, the ground's frozen, the cuts are not as crisp. And we got some work to do over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to face solid defense in Cleveland. And then we're going to face a better than expected offense in New York. So I think we'll be able to really see, can we get to 6-5? And if so, what are we going to look like getting there? All right. Let's talk defense. When you looked at yesterday's game, a lot of commentary comes out and people are speaking highly of the Baltimore Ravens performance. And a win is a win is a win. I will give them the nod to that. But the Baltimore Ravens didn't look good. I don't think that, and I'm specifically going to focus in on one thing: pass rush. Indeed, we did get some pressure on JJ McCarthy yesterday. That was a combination of blitz, interior, and then a little bit off the edge. But how many sacks did we end up with? One. There was many times where we could have closed out drives. There were many times where we could have put the Minnesota Vikings in a huge deficit. But when that blitz would not get there, he would just dance out of that pressure, scramble a little bit, or throw the ball away. A couple of different times he made plays down the field. And we've seen that when we face off against mobile quarterbacks, we have not been able to close the deal. So I think defensively, our biggest problem is still what it was before the bye week, which is why many of us kept talking about going and getting an edge rusher, not just a guy who plays the position, but a guy who can really bend the edge and close out plays and end drives. And I don't think we have that. I know Draymond Jones played yesterday, and I'm not putting everything on him. I didn't think in any kind of way that he would come and save the day. I'm not sure if Carl Lawson even played yesterday. If he did, he was not noticeable. And so I didn't expect either one of those guys to change life from the edge. But this defense has gotten better at turnovers. But our biggest problem is still bending the edge and collapsing pockets. Now, JJ McCarthy is young. I think yesterday may have been his fifth game as a starter in the league, give or take a game or two. So he's very inexperienced. But as we go down the stretch, the competition at quarterback is going to elevate. The talent at wide receiver is going to elevate. And so we need to see this edge rush position get its act together and do some things. Because right now, we have one sack that I can remember from an edge rush position, and that was, I believe it was last week when Mike Green got his first sack, or maybe even 2 weeks ago in the Chicago game. But other than that, Travis Jones has the only other sack that wasn't from a blitz. And so those are my concerns. I think a good quality win is a good team win. Everybody everywhere did a little bit of their jobs right, got that win. I think that if we bring that same mentality, just do your job to Cleveland, do your job against the Jets, I think we should come out of those games with wins. But when you look at this string of possibly 5-game win streak, who or what did we beat? And what did we prove? That's the real question. And so I think that offensive line still has to improve. And then I also think the edge rush position still has to figure out a way to get to the quarterback and close things out. Otherwise, all this talk about the Baltimore Ravens winning the AFC North is going to end just like every other season has ended, with an early playoff exit. I'm your guy, Boulanger. Let me know what you want me to know. And until next time, I'm out.